Today I'm going to do a book review. It's about a book I've recently read called How Arcturians Are Healing Planet Earth by Wayne Brewer. It's a factual book, essentially about entities. It's a very little known subject area, especially in the mainstream. But essentially, like bacteria and viruses, which are around us all the time, entities are around us all the time. This is what the book says. And if our defenses are weak, then they can get into us and cause us some major problems, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, on a range of different levels to pretty severe. So Wayne talks about the different types and how to get rid of them, how he met the Arcturians, and they're helping him in this work. I'm now going to do the full book review, so if you would like to stick around, then let's get stuck in. Let's look at the hard facts about the book first. So the title is How Arcturians Are Healing Planet Earth. The author is Wayne Brewer. Price in US dollars is $8.95 and in the UK that's £5.57. It is in Kindle, which is $2.86 or $2.29 in the UK. The publisher is Wayne Brewer, and I have to say he's done a very good job. You would never know it's not from an established publisher. The ISBN 10 number is 09856133300 and the ISBN 13 number is 9780985613303. And the size to the nearest inch or centimetre, it's 9 by 6 inches or 23 by 25 centimetres. Number of pages, the official pages is 220, but I always do a count which goes from the start of any introductions, prefaces, etc. right up until the last page of the last chapter, and that works out to 206. So yeah, price per page, which I quite like to do just to see the value of the different books. You know, this works out to 4.3 cents per page or 2.7 pence in UK money, and that sounds pretty good value. So the table of contents, yes. Diagrams and illustrations, no. Photos, no. Index, no. Glossary, no. Date first published 2012, so it's quite a recent book. Time that it's actually written about, modern day, and any other notes. Free version is available on Wayne Brewer's site, which I will put in the comments. When I say it's free version, it's not a PDF. It's basically Wayne has done a speaking version and that is available as YouTube videos. I think you can actually get some of them on YouTube anyway, but every chapter is available directly from his site. The paper is just very nice white paper, very clean, and makes the text very easy to read. A nice font. It's a decent size, no problems with the text, the layout, it's well done. I know at the beginning I did a little summary, if you like, to just whet your appetite, but I'd like to do that in a bit more detail. So the book is a factual book. It's written by Wayne Brewer about so many years of his life, so it's autobiographical. And obviously this subject is from his perspective. And it covers issues that a lot of people are having in their personal lives, which are actually not things which they're causing themselves. It's caused by something else, which we're labeling as entities. And these entities, once they get into you, attach onto you, they are parasitic in nature and they kind of feed off our energy. And that's all they care about. It is really a journey. The book is a journey of Wayne, how he went from being a more, you might say, more normal type job as a private investigator to being a healer and removing these entities, or how just things happened so that he came across all these instances of people with certain issues and they had these kind of entities which he could see or sense, and he was able to remove them. So he goes into a lot of detail about different clients he's had and the problems they had and how he removed these entities. I've been talking about entities as a group, these things like bacteria and viruses, but Wayne has actually subdivided them into different specific groups, and they go from mildly negative, if you like, to severely negative. And so Wayne talks about the negative elementals. Elementals are nature spirits, so there are a negative type of those. There are lost souls or spirits, which Wayne talks about as discarnates. There are demons, there are attachments, and there are negative aliens. And the negative aliens specifically he talks about are negative reptilians and negative greys. So these can all affect us. These are all the types that are out there, and there are possibly more for all I know. But these are the ones he talks about in detail, and these are the ones he has had experience in removing. So after they have been removed, then I suppose the next thing is, how do you stay protected? So Wayne goes into a lot of information again about how to keep these things out of your space. And this is to do with your aura and your vibration. He also obviously brings in the Arcturians, which are really helping. He does a lot of work around the planet now with the Arcturians, so he talks about that as well. Let's have a quick look at the covers and the artwork. On the front of the book, there is quite a nice picture of the Earth looking down from space, and there is this kind of white light which is kind of circling up and is focused down into the bottom of North America, sort of Mexico way. And within this white light, this vortex of light, is angels and archangels and Jesus. And you have some spaceships as well, cosmic beings, which I believe are the Arcturians. And I understand from reading the book that this is a vortex of energy. This is the Arcturians and Wayne doing some healing on specific areas of the planet. And this is the representation of that. On the back we have a couple of sections here. The top one says, "One soul or millions at a time. When we quiet our minds long enough to truly listen to Source, I think we all know we are not alone in the universe. The Arcturians are highly advanced, very loving and peaceful fifth dimensional beings who came from Arcturus, a star in the Boots constellation. They are here right now, helping to heal the planet and raise its vibrational frequency by removing alien reptilians and sending them to the light. Once the Arcturians send a reptilian to the light, it cannot return to harm anyone ever again. The Arcturians are ready to communicate and work with any soul who aspires to journey with them to a higher level of consciousness. Wake up, sleep no longer. Become aware of the truth that surrounds you at every turn." And then at the bottom area here we have another section which talks about Wayne. You've got this picture there. Wayne Brewer, author of Are You Possessed?, which is a previous book he's written, which is on a similar topic. Now is the time for divine intervention. Is a prominent private investigator with over 35 years of experience uncovering hidden truths. He has put his PI skills to use in the spiritual realm, and with the help of his multidimensional guides has discovered an ability and developed a technique for effectively removing entities, discarnate spirits, demons, and alien reptilians, and sending them to the light. And then underneath that is a Wayne Brewer's site, which is waynebrewer.net. So what's the author trying to get across? What are the main messages here? I think he's basically trying to help people, educate them, raise their awareness, bringing out this hidden information about these things called entities that are apparently around us all the time, all around the world. And I think he's also trying to get across that these things can affect you in very negative ways. We all blame ourselves for things. Why does this keep going wrong, or whatever? And I think a lot of the things he's saying are not necessarily us. They are these things called entities. I think that's his main message. It's quite a profound message, which is going to be difficult for a lot of people, unfortunately, to believe. The medical establishment, government establishments don't recognize this kind of thing at all. It's not, as I've said, it's not really out there in the mainstream. Well, it's not out there. In the kind of other communities, you might say, there is a knowledge about it. I've heard of entities because I've got an interest in this area, but most people don't. I think that the medical people, whoever sets the rules, they have some kind of guidelines that are set, and this is what we do. As a doctor, you are authorized to sort of give out information according to this. If it's not on that, then you can't really help. And this kind of information is just not recognized by the medical authorities at this time. I mean, I really hope that they have some kind of change somehow. But at this time, they don't. It seems like the main way to help mental illness is partly through drugs. I mean, as I understand it, heavy drugs, whether they be medical drugs or other ones, will actually cause your defenses to lower. And so it just causes you more problems with other entities that can now say, oh, thank you very much. You've just opened the door for me. I'll go in and I will get a little bit of energy from you. I'll be able to sort of latch onto you and be a parasite. Another thing is healers. There is quite a lot of healers who will deal with entities. The problem I found from first-hand experience and became prevalent through reading the book is that not all healers know about the reptilians. They are the darkest and the more powerful of all of them, and they are able to basically hide away when people are looking. They seem to be so much more advanced technologically and psychically. They have multidimensional skills, as Wayne talks about in the book. And so unless you are working with these Arcturians who have now come forward to help with this, you just can't get rid of them. And so the message is, if you go into a healer, make sure you go to somebody like Wayne who does work with the Arcturians. He does talk about aura and vibration, which need to be strong and healthy and high to maintain a balance where you can keep these things out of your space. Once you're fully healed and cleared yourself, if you haven't got them, that's great. Having a strong aura, high vibration, and working towards making that even stronger and your vibration higher would just give you a greater defense. Is the book compelling? Yes, very much so. For me anyway. Personally speaking, I've come across entities before. I've had a problem seemingly getting rid of them. I thought I'd got rid of them, but then I still had a feeling that I hadn't. So as I've spoken about in the review of this book, things have come to light. And through reading this book, it's like, this is the book I've been wanting to read. Hopefully I need to find this information. Suddenly there's stuff about entities, different kinds. It's really difficult to get this kind of information, should I say, on entities, and a little bit of information on each one and how they differ, I suppose, in some ways. So yeah, that's why I found it compelling. So I thought, maybe this is the key to help me, which I've been looking for. And so far I believe it is. Who knows? It's an ongoing process that I would have to report back to you on that one. What grabbed me about the book, I think, as I was just saying, the main thing is the entities and the different kinds and the information that it provides, which you can't get really anywhere else. There was a couple of extra new ones which I hadn't heard of. I knew about the ghosts, or discarnates as Wayne calls them. Kind of know about the attachments. I know about elementals, but I didn't really know the negative elementals were that bothersome to humans. And then there's reptilians and sometimes greys that hang around in your space as well, both negative forms of these races. I had no idea about those. Was a big shock. I've heard quite a bit of information about the reptilians and the greys, but not around the world to as many people as they can on a personal level, trying to control them from an internal space. That was just like, you've got to be kidding me. Even if they're not attached to you, they can then be around in some kind of other phase. They're kind of phased out of our visible spectrum so that they can then just kind of still project thoughts about certain things into your head. So that's where the Arcturians come in. So that's another thing I didn't know. Very interesting. Another thing that came to me, you might say, in thinking about it all, is how annoying it is. Almost a bit of anger coming up, thinking, well, hang on a minute, we have been around for so long on Earth, and now it's coming to light that there are these entities which are around us all the time, and presumably they've been here for a very long time, and they are interfering in a very negative way on mental, physical, emotional level, in some cases really destroying people's lives, and yet nobody knows about them. And this is just coming up to light now through people like Wayne. I can't believe that nobody knows about it in the power structure that we presently live in. So, it's really amazing that Wayne is actually writing this book and giving people, there are people as well, other people who are working with the Arcturians, and they're working on entities, they're all doing their bit. One of the things is just how, for whatever reason, our senses are not able to pick up, to be aware of these things. Why can't we be aware of them? Is this something that's we've been just going in the wrong direction for so long that our senses are becoming deadened? There are a lot of people who are psychically gifted, and they can see other things. They can tune into other realms. There are people who can tune into these entities and be able to see them, or these aliens that are kind of like just outside of our visible spectrum. There are people like that. We are in the process of developing ourselves, where we're all becoming more sensitive. I think you can't deny that in many areas, and I think our sight is going to be another one of those things that starts to become more used, like our third eye. I think we have all got these natural abilities, natural gifts to see and tune into other people, have had these to a certain extent. Sometimes you look around for no particular reason. There's somebody looking at you. You have this kind of automatic sense. It's almost unconscious. And that's an example. People know when they're thinking of somebody like their mother, let's say, and then the phone rings and it's their mother. There's all these signs all over the place that we have these different gifts which we're not really tapped into, but they're there in little subtle ways. But then there's these entities around us all the time. They're there. They can actually latch onto us, start doing things to us in a negative way, causing problems in our life, yet we don't seem to know about it. We just think it's us. It's just like, oh yeah, I'm just going through a bit of a bad time at the moment and just having all these bad thoughts. I'm really battling my head. It doesn't make any sense. And in some cases, so many problems that you start to go, it does start to drive you a little bit mad, a little bit insane. And no one could actually demean you in any way for that, because like some physical thing just actually talking in your head all the time, trying to make you do the wrong things, and you're battling. And when there's many of those things, it must be really terrible. But to think that this can happen, and there's no kind of official way that these are recognized, it's pretty sad, really. I suppose it's good that people like Wayne are bringing this information to us. I think there will become a time when we can all see these sort of things, and then perhaps we can have a bit more defenses and know what's going on. It changed my perception as well of reality, really. It's changed my perception about how many things are trying to control us on a personal level. All these things out there that's just buzzing around like insects or bacteria, viruses. That is just huge for me, really. I did know about these, but the amount he talks about, it's just staggering. You wonder how we actually get on. And I suppose just thinking about that now, it's like, well, maybe we haven't. Maybe we have been going round in circles. It's like you look in Roman times, are we much different today? We've just got better technology, but seem to have the same old problems. So it's quite interesting in that respect. The title, How Arcturians Are Healing Planet Earth. I think it's a little bit misleading, because the book is basically about Wayne Brewer's life, how he became a healer, how he is getting rid of entities, how he came across them, and he worked with different people, their story, and then how he found some entities which were a little bit more difficult to get rid of. And then he started working with the Arcturians, and they were able to get rid of them. So up to chapter 6, there's a couple of little mentions about the Arcturians, and then chapter 6, a whole chapter on the Arcturians. And then after that, they're brought in and out all the time. But it's not all about the Arcturians. So if you're looking for a book on that, this may not be the right book. Having said that, I was looking for a book on the Arcturians, and I bought the book, and I love this book. So it has got good information about the Arcturians, but I don't think it's that wide a knowledge. Especially for the reptilian and the alien type influence here, there is, I understand it, there is a kind of universal law that says this is not allowed. They've embodied that onto things like Star Trek. When they go to another planet, they're not allowed to interfere with another race. So there are these reptilians, a different race, who are interfering with the human race. That is not allowed. I do think there will be some repercussions eventually for their race, but at the moment they seem to be able to just get away with that. Now the Arcturians are coming over now and saying, yeah, we'll help you. But there is this kind of suffocation, if I can use that term, of this kind of topic, of this kind of information. You even talk about this area to most people, they would just think you're crazy, that doesn't exist, because the main media has conditioned us to believe that it's not proven, it's just hearsay, there's nothing in it, you're not a respected person if you officially believe in this kind of thing. So it becomes very difficult to get this information out. And what seems strange now, the Arcturians are coming in to help, and they're saying, okay, well, we can't just interfere. We got to wait for someone to say, can you help us, please? Can you help me? And that seems slightly annoying as well. Some races have just blatantly interfered and ignored those laws, so that we're now very much affected by the negative interference and ongoing interference. What the Arcturians are basically saying, we can't interfere, but if you ask us, we will help you. So we've got to get that information out into the public arena. People have got to believe it. Then they've got to take an interest in it and say, well, let me have a look at this in more detail then. Oh, I need to get the Arcturians to help me. Can you help me? Or can I find a healer who's working with the Arcturians? Then, oh, Arcturians, can you help me with this, please? That sounds quite long-winded to me, frustrating. There seems to be almost some play at work to stop this information, as I was saying before. Why don't we know about this information? The other thing is the Arcturians. It's like, well, why is it taking so long for the Arcturians to come in? Why perhaps couldn't the Arcturians come in before? I'm sure a lot of you have heard about how, we're going through this change. The whole Earth is going through a change. Everyone on the planet, whether they like it or not, is going through some kind of an ascendance process where we're being lifted up to a higher consciousness. And that's causing a lot of upheaval, you might say. Like Drone Velo Melchizedek said in one of his books, we go through a big phase, a big change every time. Mayan has charted it. He said it can be parallel to the notes on a piano going from white to black, etc. They do follow a mathematical sequence, such as the universe. And we're going through one of those changes now. I'm coming out of a black note onto a white note, so representing the dark and the light. And this is going into a lovely, you might say, period of awakening and a better life for all of us. Because we're coming into this new age, there's a bit of a changeover, as I understand it. We're changing over from the dark to the light, and it's like the dark's trying to hang on a bit, and then the Arcturians are now coming in at this particular time, because it's like, well, why couldn't they come in before? I think it would have been much more difficult for them before. But now they're coming in, we are in this change, and they're coming in to help the changes happen. They've got, I think they have a lot more power during this time, and they are helping us in this changeover. You could say that the darkness has had the upper hand, and we're now going into a white note where the white will have the upper hand. It's like everything in the earth. It struck me, the duality of the earth. We all have this duality about maintaining balance. We go from happiness to sadness. We go from love to hate. All these different types of emotions, which ultimately we're trying to, like a pendulum swings and come to a midpoint. we are trying to come into balance with all these things. And the same with the Earth. These different energies have the upper hand slightly because they're more in dominance. It's all kind of the same thing. It's reflecting in us. I think we are becoming more in balance, and that's the key. That's the key for me anyway, that I've been aiming for. As far as anything I didn't like about the book, I don't really think there is anything. There is a couple of questions. I think the big one with the reptilians, it's like I know a little bit about the reptilians from reading other books, watching programs like Cosmic Disclosure on Gaia. And these are the negative reptilians, extremely strong psychically. They've got these powers to change multidimensionally. They can just phase out so we can't see them. And so are these negative reptilians the one I've heard and read about, the same ones as Wayne is now talking about in this book? I'm not quite sure. I'm assuming that they probably are. If that is true, then I assume it's a bit like there's these departments and they get up, go to work, if I can say that, and they'll report to a certain room, and then they say, okay, yeah, you all lie down on the bed. They're given different targets. You say, all these different humans I want you to control, and then do your astral travelling to these people, these humans, boom, 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 go, 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 in order to get inside a human person, like our spirit. We don't see our spirit. It's part of us. Is it astral travelling? I just don't really know much about that area. I don't really know how it's possible to do that. I understand they are physical, yet at the same time they are going inside us. Wayne also talks about them, they can be on the periphery. If they can't get inside you, then they will try to project thoughts into us with these negative greys as well. But, he says 75% of all the population is affected around the world. That's huge. So everybody's reporting all around the world in these secret bases in the reptilian world. You go to that human, you go to that human. That's kind of staggering to me. The whole logistics of that kind of operation is just huge. And do they lie there for like a day and then they say, right, get up? Someone else taking that shift now. Do they lie there for 3 weeks and then someone takes over? How the heck do they do that? Are they able to just walk around like we all do and have another part of themselves just go out so that they don't have to lie on a bed? That's what I was trying to work out. And that someone has to organise it all. It goes down into the different layers until you've got these individual reptilians going into individual people around the world. Also, I can't actually remember really the details now about what the reptilians are actually getting out of it. They control the Earth. They are getting quite a lot out of it, as I understand. But it would be good to hear Wayne's thoughts and opinions, after working with the Arcturians. Maybe he's had conversations with them and they've given him more information. Because obviously all that effort has got to be worthwhile. It's like all us getting up and say, right now, we're going to go and be in some other being to try and control them negatively, and that's our day job. That was my questions, or some of them anyway. So in summary, I would really recommend this book. I found it very interesting. I couldn't put it down basically when I first got it. It's very well priced. It's a lot cheaper than most paperbacks out there. It's 200 pages. It's basically free if you go to Wayne's site and want to listen to it. It's quite quick to read. It's easy to read. It's written well. The topics, which is about entities basically, and then bringing in Arcturians, it's brought in slowly, adding more information until you get the full picture at the end about all of these entities and how the Arcturians are helping. At times I felt it could just be covered a little bit in more detail, but I really enjoyed this book. I think it's a great book, and I would say everybody should read it, really. The information in it about these entities, it's not mainstream media. If mainstream media is here, I think this information is over there. This is what we're kind of conditioned to say is kind of real. This is where this book is. If we could link the two, I think it would be a much better world, because I think there's a lot of things that we don't know and are unexplained, yet the information is out there. And I think Wayne's book does bring a lot of this information in. It's about these entities. They're all around us. They can affect us mentally, physically, emotionally. I think a lot of mental health problems can be explained with some of these things. I think they could help a lot of people in the world. I think also because of this mainstream here, the book's there, a lot of people won't be able to just pick it up. People will possibly find it quite difficult to take on board fully, I think, especially if you don't know about these entities at all. I think it will change your perception subtly of the reality that we actually live in, whether you want to believe that or not. But I would say to everyone, if you feel inclined, please read it. And even if you think it's a bit too far-fetched, just leave it in the back of your head and then come to your own decision. I think, well, I've read it, I'm going to make up my mind later. Because life will unfold and give you different parts of the puzzle. And we all are going, unfolding and becoming aware of different information at the level we're ready to accept. But yeah, it's very empowering, I think, to know this information. It's empowering because you then can make your own decisions more, or you understand why you're doing a certain thing, or why mental health could be the way it is. It's quite thought-provoking, really. Yeah, so I'm definitely recommending this book. I hope you enjoyed this book review. I'm putting the links down below for the book if you want to purchase it, and also for Wayne's site if you want to go and find out more information about Wayne Brewer, or in fact just register so that you can listen to the book online for free. So yes, thank you very much for watching my video. I hope to do some more in the future, and I hope to see you there. Goodbye.